I would call to order the Village of Westmont Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for October 10, 2012. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fidesco?
Here.
Commissioner Van Buren is here. Commissioner Pill? Commissioner Fleet?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Richard?
Here.
Commissioner Anton?
Yes, here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. If you would please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please, while I have you all standing, anybody that's to give any testimony tonight, either for or against any item on the agenda, you've got to be sworn in. So if you please raise your hand so we can take your comment. I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I do. Okay, is everybody, I couldn't see you in the back there. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a couple now that did. I'll catch them when they come up. Okay, swearing.
Shut my phone off.
I would ask that you silence any and all electronic devices this evening, and if and when you come up to the podium to speak, if you would announce your name, and there is a sign-in sheet, if you would sign in. Okay, first item on our agenda tonight, Planning and Zoning Item 12033. Mia Curtis of Cash Closet.
Wait, we've got the approval of the minutes. Did you do that yet?
Boy, God, it's a good thing. I crossed it off, too. I apologize. First item on the agenda is the approval of our minutes of our September 12th meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Anton, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. A question on the motion? A roll call, please.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Anton?
Abstain.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, the minutes as presented are hereby approved. First item on the agenda, Planning and Zoning Item 12033. Mia Curtis of Cash Closet regarding the property located at 37 West Kinsey Street, Unit B, for the following. A special use permit request to operate a resale consignment shop in the B1 Limited Business District.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
I'm requesting again a special use permit for the second time. I hope the last time. You know what I want to do? You know, we're all about giving back, and now I'm working for some breast cancer organizations in the United States, and actually if you punch me up on YouTube, you can see some things I talk about. So we're going to be running reels, and that's the only thing that's changed. We're going to be running a reel and constant breast cancer things in our store, and I'm already working on it in case you saw next door, and that's my request.
All right. Is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue? Hearing nothing, we'll close the public comment. Does staff have anything?
As you know, Ms. Curtis was previously approved for a special use in a different location in the downtown, but unfortunately that lease fell through, and we are supportive of her moving into this new location based on her previous approval.
Okay, well, let's start with Commissioner Thomas.
Thanks for keep trying.
Thanks, Shannon.
I was in favor of it before. I'm in favor of it now. What do you do with the awning name? And
We're
that?
changing it. Each panel is separate,
Oh, okay.
so it's an easy switch out.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Anton.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Commissioner Van Buren.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I don't have any changes from my last time, so
Good.
good luck.
Commissioner Fleet.
Yeah, good luck again.
Thank you.
And I also wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
I even hope you outgrow that facility.
Thank you.
Okay. We need a rating of the findings of fact, if we could have that, please.
Mia Curtis of Cash Closet regarding 37 West Quincy Street for a special use to allow a resale consignment shop in the B1 Limited Business District. Criteria number 1, that the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the special use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare. All operations will be conducted indoors and sufficient parking will be provided. Accordingly, this use will not be detrimental to the public health or general welfare. Criteria number 2, the special use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. Findings of fact, this retail use is appropriate for the B1 Limited Business District with all operations conducted indoors. Thrift store or rummage sale operations are prohibited. As a result, this use will not impair property values within the area. Criteria number 3, the establishment of the special use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Findings of fact, surrounding properties are fully developed and this proposed use will not affect orderly development of surrounding properties in the future. Criteria number 4, the adequate utilities, accessways, drainage, and/or other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. This existing structure is serviced by adequate utilities, accessways, and other necessary facilities. Criteria number 5, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. The property is accessed by public sidewalks along Quincy Street, and the property contains a shared parking facility to the west containing 12 off-street parking spaces, plus additional garage parking in the back of the unit and a paved area that can accommodate 2 to 3 vehicles behind the building. Criteria number 6, the special use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located, except as such regulations may in each instance be modified by the village board pursuant to the recommendation of the Plan Commission. This proposed use will meet all regulations of the village and no variances are required.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to...
I'm sorry, we need a vote on the findings of fact.
John, I'm forgetting everything. I apologize to everybody. Okay, I need a vote on the findings of fact. May I have a motion, please? Everybody in favor? We are unanimous in the findings. Okay, I would entertain a recommendation or approval to the Board of Trustees under Planning and Zoning Item 12033. Item A, a special use permit request to operate a resale consignment shop in the B1 Limited Business District.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Fleet. Question on the motion. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fleet,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Anton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes, and Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, the lady has left.
She's here. Teaching sister.
Okay, you have, I got to put my glasses on to see that far, I'm sorry. You've got our recommendation for approval, and staff can tell you when you go before a Thursday evening committee of the whole. Best of luck to you.
I appreciate it. I'm so sorry I have to leave. I have a sick child at home. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Thanks, Mia.
Planning and Zoning Item 12034. Brent Sikula regarding the property located at 120 North Grant Street for the file. Item A, zoning code variance request to permit lot coverage greater than the 35% maximum allowed in the R3 single-family detached residence district for the purpose of reconstructing a driveway and a patio and replacing the concrete surface with pavers. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Thank you for hearing our application. Over the last couple of years, I've done quite a few renovations to my home. I've done an addition and had to remodernize the first floor. Part of the project in my mind was to replace the driveway, which is probably 35, 40 years old, and it has a lot of salt damage on the driveway, and the patio has a lot of sinking damage from some substrate problems. And what I'd like to do is replace it originally with pavers, but then I learned of the 35% limitation, the new code for lot coverage. So we looked at using a permeable paver system. And I'd like to replace my driveway and patio with that and actually reduce the size of my patio by approximately 250 square feet or so. My family's been in the town for probably since the late 20s, and I'm the third generation to take over ownership here. So I'd like to improve it, improve my property, and improve the neighborhood at the same time. So I'd just request permission to be allowed the 6 or 7% overage beyond the 35%. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue? Please, if you would, give us your name and sign in.
My name is Scott Pajasic. I'm actually the landscaper that helped put the plans together for this and would be the person employed to install this if it is improved. So just to just shed a little more light on what we're trying to do, and I understand that it's not recognized yet in this township, although they are working with engineers to see what kind of credits they're going to give homeowners for the percentage of lot coverage when installing a permeable system. So there's a lot of information out there. I've given Jill, a lot of pages of information that I've gotten from the company that makes the bricks to independent companies that have done independent studies, and the numbers all range. So I think the process that you guys are going through right now, working with an engineer, is just to see exactly how much penetration these permeable pavers do offer. There's anywhere, I've seen numbers as high as 100% of all normal rainfall will be absorbed through this permeable system. The really heavy downpours, obviously, even in a lawn, it doesn't matter what it's going to fall on, the really heavy rain is still going to move into storm sewers. So basically, there's two real great benefits to this system. Not only does it give relief to the storm system that you guys have in place, but environmentally, it's much better because the contaminants actually work its way down through the system, through the ground, and get filtered out before it gets into the water table. So there is a lot of benefits to this system environmentally, just across the board. Not only, what you guys are most worried about is too much lot coverage and overwhelming your storm sewers in a massive rain. So there is a lot of other benefits to this as well. And I know that you guys aren't at a point yet where you guys are recognizing this on every case, but I've done a couple of these in Lisle now and a couple in Naperville. So townships around here are starting to recognize this as a good installation to get away from the normal non-permeable systems. It is a very helpful system. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who will have anything for or against? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Staff?
Staff has been working with the applicant's request because while it is over the impervious surface allowed, he is removing concrete and replacing part of it with pervious pavers. And as the applicant stated, while pervious pavers are not yet recognized by our code, they will help with stormwater infiltration.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start with the commissioners. Roy Fleet, if you would.
Sir, in the material that you provided, it shows quite extensive underground preparation for the pavers, and
Possibly to do this because of that, yeah.
and so is there a standard by which you're working to install this that would?
I don't know if there's a standard in the industry completely.
Please,
but-
Scott, if you would, the home audience cannot hear you unless you're at the podium.
Pretty much the standard that I've seen across all the specs is a minimum of 12-inch clean limestone, usually 6 inches of a 3-inch clean stone, and then another 6 inches of a 3/4-inch clean stone. This creates about a 40% void space for, for rainwater to fill. So basically, you're creating an area that has underground air pockets of 40% of the total volume of that space. So in any given time, and you can see on there, the numbers differ as far as how much volume that those can absorb in an hourly rate. But most of them are saying that 100% of normal rainfall can get absorbed into those void spaces.
Okay, no further questions here.
Mr. Fidesco?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, the type of substructure in the system. It seems to be a lot greater than
Yes,
all
it
the
is.
other type of systems that I've seen,
It
where
is.
it's pretty much kind of a crushed gravel, sand, and the
Right.
pavers.
So, right, so Brent he's incurring a great deal more cost to install this system to help get this variance. And the other thing that he didn't really speak too much about, he's not looking to do anything other than when his structure was built and his driveway went in and his patio went in, it was all allowed by the village at that point. There was no restriction then as to how much they can cover. So really, he's actually reducing the size of non-permeable space and changing to a much higher cost install to help better the stormwater runoff on this property. I mean, it's going to greatly increase the it's greatly going to lessen the amount of, the existing condition is going to be improved immensely by doing this, immensely. I mean, it's either that or it stays the way that it is and it stays non-permeable and then it deteriorates and then just becomes, broken down driveway and patio. I mean, he's kind of stuck here because he needs to make improvements. Like he said, it's a 35 or 40-year-old driveway. It's starting to, come apart. It's settling in the back. It's breaking apart on the driveway. So at some point, he needs to put in a new driveway, and that point is now. I mean, and if you look at his house, he's done, it's been immaculately restored. This is a 1920s brick farmhouse that's been completely overhauled, except for the driveway and patio. So I don't know if you guys ever had the opportunity to drive by there, but he's done an unbelievable job restoring this property to, it's one of the nicest properties I've seen in this village. I mean, it's really that nice. So he's only trying to make progress in that same direction, and he's not trying to do it in a way that's going to increase what he already has and was allowed to do in the past. So he's actually reducing square footage, putting in a decent-sized chunk of yard where patio was to make his patio smaller, and then changing over to this system. So.
Yeah, no, I like the idea, and I'm glad he's looking at reducing it by a couple hundred square feet. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'm for it, and I do like the concept.
Right. There's going to be a lot more of this as the years come on, because this is becoming more and more of a problem for all villages. And I know Downers Grove is starting to recognize it as well, but they haven't. They give a small credit, I think a 7% credit for pavers there, but they haven't recognized the permeable system yet either. So I've been working with them on a couple other projects, because this is going to be, a lot of things are going to go this direction for the paver system, because it's just so much better.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Van Buren?
Yeah, I went over there today and I looked around. I couldn't believe this was a 1920s house.
It's amazing.
It was beautifully kept up. I also looked at all the concrete work that's there, and mine is about 6 years old. I have a circular drive at my house on the corner. My concrete isn't that good a shape. So if he never came here, he'd still have a beautiful concrete patio. I saw one crack going across the patio that was sealed and looked in good shape. But what a great place. And whatever you do beyond that to improve the impervious nature of it would only be a plus. And I just want to tell you that you got a really great place and you have done a good job, and more power to you.
Commissioner Anton?
Used these before in some projects of my own, and I see they've got an under drain here. Is that necessary on this project?
It's not necessary for this project.
Not enough
Yeah,
space.
exactly.
Right? How about the mat, the fabric mat?
Yes, we'll use the fabric mat to separate the soil from basically the filter mat stops the soil from the surrounding areas that underneath to contaminate the
And
void
pumping
spaces.
into the.
Exactly.
And is this 100% compacted, that limestone? Do you do it in
Yes.
lifts?
Yeah, we'll do it in probably 3-foot lifts, or 3-inch,
lifts.
sorry, 3-inch
3 foot,
lifts.
yeah, wow.
3-foot lifts, wow.
Okay, excellent. That's all I got. Good luck with
Commissioner
that.
Thomas?
So he's starting with more, like you said, at the time of the construction, everything was
Fine with
legal, everything's fine. And
Right.
since the construction, then they've made these limitations in that. And so he's going to take some concrete away. He's going to replace impervious with pervious material.
Correct.
And come out further ahead than you started.
Right, so it's going to improve, the square
Right.
footage it's an improvement just from the beginning by reducing the footprint.
Right. And I appreciate your effort in that. My question as staff is, where are we as a village in accepting pervious, impervious, and
Our engineering staff is studying the recently adopted county ordinance and using other engineers' estimates to see where we should come out with recommendations, whether it should be a 60/40, 50/50. But we would definitely like to recommend using impervious or pervious pavers.
good. That's all I have. Thank you.
Right, Jill had mentioned earlier, the reason that the county one is under some scrutiny right now is because they put it as 100%, right? So basically, someone could pave their entire lot. That's the way they wrote it. So obviously, that's kind of a mistake.
Sounds like they'll have to adjust that a
Yeah,
little bit.
exactly.
All right, while I happened to be out there today, I ran into Commissioner Van Buren there, and together, we both thought your house is beautiful. I wish everybody in Westmont could see it and appreciate it. And as far as your concrete, I see no reason to change it, but God bless you if you want to change it. The only question I have is, we saw a couple of pavers that you had sitting by the back of your house there, and they looked like they were fairly close together. I talked to Jill on this earlier.
Yeah,
I was
those
up
weren't
to-
those weren't the permeable. Those were the original ones that we applied for.
Okay.
Yeah, the permeable ones are actually still at the factory. We didn't bring any over.
What's the width of the,
The gap is about 3/8 of an inch gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you, because Good Sam Hospital just built a huge parking lot on the east side of their facility.
Yeah.
And they've got about a 3/8 inch separation between
It's
the
about-
pavers.
yep, it's
And
a
it's
3/8.
filled in with the stone and everything. It handles traffic all day long, and
Yep.
it looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it just, when the rain comes, it just goes, it just
Just goes right
disappears.
through.
Yeah, Lyle, Arboretum has it. They did a new parking lot at Dorhofer Park in Downers Grove with it. So large-scale jobs are really looking to go this direction because it reduces the infrastructure. The civil engineering part of it is greatly reduced.
Well, you're to be commended on the quality of your house. It looks as if it were brand new. In fact, I've seen some brand-new ones that don't look that good.
I want to go fishing. Been doing this for 15 years.
The only question I have is your existing driveway is about 1.9 feet from the lot line. You will move that over so the pavers, your new...
Yeah, that was part of the notes that Jill had put on.
The new driveway will be 3 feet from the lot line.
Correct.
So we don't need another variance.
Right.
Okay. That's all I have. Since we have a request for a variance, we need findings of fact. If we could have a reading, please.
120 North Grant Street, request for a variance to allow lot coverage greater than the 35% maximum allowed in this residential zoning district. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The existing home on the property was constructed in 1929, and subsequent additions and improvements predate the lot coverage restrictions imposed by the zoning ordinance. The applicant seeks to replace his deteriorating driveway and patio to maintain the functionality of these improvements, and the property cannot yield a reasonable return without this variance to allow these upgrades. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The owner did not self-create the existing nonconformities and is seeking these variances to improve the safety, aesthetics, and functionality for this property. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed new driveway and patio will use permeable pavers, and the overall lot coverage will be reduced for this property. These improvements should improve stormwater management for the property and reduce lot coverage. The proposed improvements will constitute an aesthetic and functional upgrade over the current improvements and will not alter the essential character of the area.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. Therefore, the findings of fact for a variance are hereby approved and adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, Planning and Zoning Item 12034. Item A, a zoning code variance request to permit lot coverage greater than 35% maximum allowed in the R3 single-family detached residence district for the purpose of reconstructing a driveway and patio and replacing the concrete surface with pavers.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Anton, seconded by Commissioner Van Buren. Question on the motion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Anton?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and again, staff can tell you when you'll be scheduled for a Thursday evening committee of the whole meeting. Okay, thank you. Next item, Planning and Zoning Item 12035. Dave Weisbrock regarding the property located at 325 North Warwick for the following. A zoning code variance request to permit lot coverage greater than the 30% maximum allowed in a defined development moratorium area. Mr. Weisbrock? Sir, you came in late, you have to be sworn in.
Oh,
So I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Wisbrock. Yeah, I'd like to be able to do an addition like anyone else in this town. The moratorium was put on our street after Chicago Avenue was redone. Our whole block got flooded, and nothing's been changed to solve the water problems on our street, but I've solved it on my own property. I did a dry well. I dug out a trench around my entire house and put my own drain system in, because after 2 years of flood water going in my house, every time it rained, I couldn't take it no more. So I did a dry well in my front yard, and since then, I've not had a leaky basement, and there's no standing water on my property. None of my neighbors are flooded out from anything I did. So I would like to be able to build an addition like anyone else in this town and cover the 40%. I came up with a rough drawing, and we came up with 40.9%, so I'm sure with an architect I can get rid of the 0.9%. I would just like to be able to do what anyone else, any other taxpayer in this town can do. You know, the moratorium was put on because of the floods, and I took care of all the flood water on my property. And I know in here it said there was a little concern that some of the water goes down between mine and my neighbor to my south of me's garage. I'll put in another dry well between there. That's not a big deal. You know, whatever I have to do with the flood water, I'll take care of it, because I'm not going to flood out my neighbors. I know what it's like when you when it's coming in your house every other day.
All right. Is there anybody from the public who will speak on this issue?
My name is Scott Johnson.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, once you sign in, no, I have to swear you in also.
Yes.
If you would, I swear that any testimony I give this evening shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yep.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Scott Johnson. My address is 323 North Warwick Avenue. I am Dave's neighbor directly south of his property. I've lived in Westmont approximately a little over 20 years. I've lived in this property for a little over 10 years. I think Dave's probably lived there 7 or 8 years or somewhere about that. To be honest with you, we've had some massive floods on our street, which I'm sure you guys have all been aware of. This has nothing to do with what Dave is going to be doing, what he hopes to do for our street. This will have no effect on it whatsoever. Since he has done all of his water containment from his house and his property, my house has not received any water. I do not receive standing water on my property. To be perfectly honest with you, I have absolutely positively no objection whatsoever to him trying to make our street better, our property better. My house obviously would be better because of his addition and the increase in the property value of his house. So I have no objection whatsoever to this. I'm here in support to help Dave. You know, like I said, he's a great guy. He is part of our community in our street, where he is out there and the first person out there to help people, whether it be snow, power outages, crawling up on top of roofs when we had that microburst last summer. To be honest with you, he was outside and ready to start hopping up on my roof before I was even outside. So, you know, I think he's a great asset to not only the community with his business, but also as a neighborhood and as a neighbor as well. So hopefully you approve this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Mary Robertson. I live directly, well, not directly, but across the street from Dave at 320 North Warwick. I'm here to speak on a little different note. I am neither thumbs up nor thumbs down as far as what Dave does on his property. Good for him. This is the perfect opportunity to talk about our moratorium. On our street, Warwick Avenue, we are at a disadvantage, and we have flooding issues.
Yes.
This is not,
Unfortunately, we are only a recommending board for planning and zoning items that we recommend to the village. We neither have anything to do with any laws whatsoever, moratoriums, and to be quite frankly, it's not our purview to even talk about this, nor could we help you with it.
Okay.
I wish we could, but this is not our business.
Okay.
And we should not stick our nose in it.
Should I save this for the,
That would be for the
Board
committee of
meeting?
the whole, please.
For the village board.
The
I
Board
will
of
do that.
Trustees.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody further from the public? We'll close the public comment. We'll start with staff, if you would.
As we noted in the staff memo, the village planning engineer does have concerns about the new addition's location, but would work with the applicant to ensure drainage patterns are not blocked by potentially moving some of the area, and would review any additional dry wells. The applicant would finalize his addition with architectural plans if this variation for 40% is approved.
Thank you, Jill. We'll start with Commissioner Thomas.
How you doing, Dave? First off, I want to say that Dave did the siding on my house, and if he said that he has worked on keeping his, now I have no idea how well of a well digger you are, but if you do it the same way you do your other business, I believe it'll be fine. If you're, I believe they had concerns about the water going to the south, and the neighbor who testified is confident, and the engineer is willing to keep an eye on it and work with you and what's needed and what's not needed, and I don't have a problem with this. And this is a perfect, you're the perfect person for that block. That's all I have. Thank you.
By the way, Commissioner Thomas asked me before the meeting whether there was a conflict of interest in him speaking and voting on this because you did some siding work previously for his house, and the answer is no. Under Illinois law, a past one-time job would not present a conflict where he has no economic benefit now from this project or this vote. So he is allowed to vote on this, but thanks for disclosing it.
Commissioner Anton?
I like Westmont people. If you're going to stick around and put an addition on, I'm all for it. It seems like you've taken care of your situation there with the water. I have a house down on 500 North Grant and had the same sort of thing going on over there with water and modified my area. I understand. And I know of your other business too, your roofing business, is that correct? You guys do good work. I don't have a problem with this. I'd like to see finalized plans and, you know, everything with the village and with the engineer and stuff, but I think it's a good idea, and I'd like to see your plans. Thanks.
Okay, Commissioner Van Buren?
Dave, you probably have a better idea of water and how it goes to being a roofer than most people around us. But in looking at your lot and walking on, the concentration of impervious surface is all in the front of your lot. And then it goes beyond your two-car garage to the shed behind it, all covered with concrete. And now you're going to run a corridor of that blank space behind your house, between the garage, with more building. And I'm wondering why you didn't consider going up rather than going back.
The foundation.
Dave, if you could at the podium so the home audience can hear you.
The foundation, because it's cinder block walls, and it would
couldn't handle it, huh?
No, I didn't even have an architect or anyone look at it, but just from my own experience,
Well, I
wouldn't attempt it. Yeah, it's cinder block foundation. Otherwise, it would be nice to go up. It would be a lot cheaper to go up.
That's what I was thinking.
It'd be a lot cheaper and faster. It'd be nice for me, but unfortunately, I can't with the cinder blocks.
Okay, that's all I have.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yeah, I was going to ask that same question. The only thing is, I've actually seen cinder block walls cave in, and I'm looking at houses and thought, you know, no, I'd never want to try to do anything like that on a house. So I understand why you want to go back. As far as your neighborhood being restricted, I was going to ask the staff, has that come in front of the village board, you know, for review?
Yes, I believe it was last month, and they increased the moratorium for another year.
Okay. You know, I don't know if it's going to change my vote. I'm going to make my recommendation, but, you know, it is in an area where I've driven through there during rainstorms, and I have gone through the flooded street, the river. You know, it's a tough place to be. And, you know, you're kind of at a disadvantage at this point, you know, having purchased the property and lived there. You want to improve it, but you almost can't. I mean, we'll be able to do what we can as far as recommendation, but it's up to the village board to make the final decision. So I don't have any further questions.
Commissioner Fleet?
There's a note on the plat survey that it says move back 20 feet. Is this the garage that you're going to move back?
It was that the plot of survey was wrong. I got what they gave us, you know.
Okay.
Figures turns out the plat survey was wrong, so it's further back than what the.
Okay, so the garage is actually right now, it's further back?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's staying
okay.
where I don't want to move or spend more than I have to do this.
Yeah, I was just wondering, yeah, if we were going to move that back, what would you bring up to it? But, okay, it's in place in the way it should be. Okay. No further questions for me. Good luck.
Okay, again, sir, when I was out there, I was out there with Commissioner Van Buren. We were looking, according to your drawing here, you've got this crossed portion. How are you're going to build onto the back of the house, on the east side of the house. Are you also going to build with this new addition to the south, past the existing?
I drew a bigger picture. I mean, it's not.
Could you put it on there where we could see it on the screen?
Where do I put it at?
Right there on that
Right
screen.
where I put the papers? Oh, that ain't gonna. It's not gonna fit on there.
No, but if
They'll
we
work
can
it.
just see where it is, because it looked like
this
it was coming to
is-
take half of the driveway up.
Yeah, it would be eliminating part of the driveway. This is the existing house, and then this is going east and south. It doesn't fit all on the screen. And then a little attachment in the back.
Okay, one concern I have, in essence, then, if you would go to the portion where it's going to be alongside your garage,
Yes,
could you slide that so we can see it? Yeah.
right here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the garage.
Jill, what is the distance between a garage and a house? There's a minimum distance,
It's 10 feet off the top of my head.
just so you're aware of this, sir?
Mm-hmm.
That addition that you're going to put where it touches your garage, you have a minimum separation,
It's 10 feet.
and we think it's 10 feet.
Okay.
Are you okay
So-
there? Because then you need
I
another
think I'm gonna be a
variance.
little less than 10 feet, so I mean, I have to change the drawing a little bit. We gotta get rid of 0.9% anyway, so I could
Well,
probably do it with
You can't go
that.
less than 10 feet unless you come for a variance.
No, I mean, I can get rid of, I can go to 10 feet, you know,
Okay.
and that'd probably get rid of the 40.9%. You know, I'll work with whatever I have to, you know, I would just like to be able to build the 40% and do it to your codes, so, I mean.
Yeah, it would have been a little easier for us to see an as-built. One of the other things I've noticed is your driveway is probably within a foot or a foot and a half of the lot line, since you are disturbing the property. John, if I'm not mistaken, does he have to?
No, he's not disturbing the driveway, and he's not increasing the nonconformity of the
He's going to
driveway.
dig up part of the driveway for his new house.
Right, but he's not improving it. You know, I think maybe that's a staff interpretation, but
Yeah.
I imagine they looked at it and said, if you're not otherwise, if you're just taking a portion away, but you're not redoing the driveway where you have an opportunity to make it conforming, and
That's how we interpret it when we
Yeah, but
do
you don't need a
driveway
variance for
permits.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, not a problem. And you would not have any problem then with this increased impervious surface that you're building by putting more dry wells in to store this stormwater? You're going to have to work with staff for storage of stormwater.
Yeah, that's no big deal.
My understanding, when the fence that's just a little to the east of the back of your garage, that lot back there, that's still all yours?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What the pipe?
It
And
goes
I've
there.
noticed on the fence to the north of you, from your property to the north, I mean,
Yes.
your neighbor's property to the north, that's pretty well boarded up at the bottom to try to stop stormwater.
No, that's my dogs trying to escape. Sorry, I got two
noticed-
crazy dogs.
I've noticed a steel pipe in there also.
That's-
And
It's a big dog.
Well, thank goodness he was locked up when I was back there.
Yeah, there's two of them.
But,
And the cinder blocks, that was to hold the boards in, and they moved the cinder blocks too. No, that's a whole nother case. but-
Okay, but from my impression is the water that comes through that pipe, it digs a fairly good-sized little hole there in your bushes there. Is there going to be some way to capture that water and channel it off to the east?
water doesn't really come through that fence because I have pipe on the other side of it. I've already taken
What's
care
the
of.
hole from? There's a hole at the end of the pipe like it's been eroded.
That's the dogs.
I know I have one.
They have dug up the whole yard around the fence. Thanks to Scott, he caught them a couple times for me. My neighbor to the north have caught them. I don't even know how many times, but yeah. So when the addition were to come along, if this happened, I'm going to get a bigger fenced in yard in the back, and that's another issue. But all that stuff's actually from my dogs. All the holes around it.
Hey, Dave, don't you wish you would have had those two dogs bite those two now?
Yeah, anything with the fence is all have to do with my dogs.
It wasn't easy. Commissioner Anton, it wasn't easy stepping around landmines back there to see this property.
Too bad no one fell.
You have to go on Saturdays. I clean Friday and Saturday, so you got to go on Saturdays.
Okay, sir, just so you're aware now, am I to presume then that we are voting on a lot coverage of 40%? I'm not seeing a number here.
40.9% is what you're voting on.
No greater.
He said he's going to try and work it down to 40, but what's before you is 40.9%. That's approximation.
Well, we could make a motion at 40% also, though.
And I'm fine with that. I want to go with your 40.
All right. Any other commissioners have any more questions? May we have a reading of the findings of fact since we have a variance request?
325 North Warwick Avenue, request for a variance to allow lot coverage greater than the 30% maximum allowed in a defined development moratorium area. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The applicant proposes an addition to his home in order to meet the needs of his family. The applicant proposes to remove a portion of his driveway to reduce the impact of this lot coverage increase. The existing lot coverage is 34.6%, and any expansion or improvement to existing impervious surfaces would be impossible without a variance due to the moratorium on development in this area. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The applicant proposes an aesthetic and functional improvement in order to remain in this house while mitigating any stormwater impacts through the use of dry wells and drains around the property. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed addition will be located to the rear of the house, will be contained within all setbacks, will contain drains and dry wells, and will not alter the character of the area.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. Therefore, the findings of fact for a variance are hereby approved. Okay, under Planning and Zoning item 12035, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a zoning code variance request to permit lot coverage greater than the 30% maximum allowed in the defined development area. Variance request to not to exceed 40%.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Anton. Question on the motion. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Anton?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. Okay, sir, you have our recommendation for approval, and staff, again, can tell you when you go before Thursday evening committee of the whole.
Thank you.
Thanks for having the dog.
If you think that 1920s house look good, wait till I'm done.
Planning and zoning item 12036. Kathleen Keating of Martin, Craig, Chester, and Schoenschein LLP representing Spinecraft regarding the property located at 777 Oakmont Lane, Suite 200 for the following. Zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs. Good evening.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Kathleen Keating of the firm Martin, Craig, Chester, and Sonnenschein. I am here representing Spinecraft LLC. We are seeking a variance on the property at 777 Oakmont Lane to allow a third small sign outside of my client's leased premises. Spinecraft has signed a lease to rent 8,000 square feet of this building. As you can see from the figures in the configuration of the building, the entrances are fairly difficult to locate because of the reflective windows that comprise the outside walls of the building. I've driven around the building several times myself, and I know where I'm going, and I can't find the spot. Spinecraft LLC is a company that develops medical devices, including surgical tools, implants, instruments, and other devices for patients who suffer from spine injuries and neck and back problems, like spinal degeneration, things like that. These devices are often required in emergency situations and must be available to patients on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis. Their customers and their other physicians who come to their space need to easily locate the office entrance at any time, day or night, because these people have problems walking, and they arrive with neck and back problems. So we don't want them having to walk around the building looking for their entrance. Before Spinecraft signed the lease, it obtained the landlord's approval for a small monument sign right outside its front entry door. The hardship has to do with the location of the building and the location of the entrance to my client's space, which fronts on Oakmont and is about 550 feet away and around the corner from the multi-tenant identification sign along Pasquinelli. So also, as I said before, the configuration of the building, it's got jagged edges. I don't know how else to describe it, not being an architect, but make those entrances difficult to locate. If you compare that type of design to a more traditional design where it's maybe a brick building with identifiable doors. Let's see. The landlord has agreed not to seek any more signs for this building. And even our sign that we want to put in is a little less than 3.5 by 4.5 feet. Even with our sign, the total square footage devoted to signage at this location is 170 square feet, which is 35% of the total allowable square footage which this building has under the zoning code of 482 feet. So we're well below the total allowable signage. And I think that given the nature of my client's business, he's operated this business for 20 years. He knows his clientele. Obviously, the sign is costing him money to install, and it's costing him money to have me come here and ask for it. He wouldn't be doing that unless he really needed it. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. First, we'll go to the public. Is the public, anybody who will speak on this issue? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Staff?
Typically, staff wouldn't recommend a third sign or a third monument sign, but in this case, it's a very small size, it's an unobtrusive location, and the property owner has assured us that there will be no other variation requests at this location.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Fleet.
Yeah, driving up there today, coming in and then trying to look to the right, like you said, even though you know where it is, it can be hard to see, and I think that this would certainly help the clients coming in to locate it. Now, this is not going to be lit, right?
No, it is not.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yeah, when I first looked at this, I thought, I didn't like the idea of an extra sign, but then when I looked at the building, I thought, my God, how can anybody find anything in that building? So I thought it was, it changed my mind. So I don't have any concerns whatsoever about the sign.
Commissioner Van Buren?
No concern, not a problem.
Commissioner Anton?
Couldn't find the place. Driving around and I'm like, these people need to put up a sign. I'm wasting my time. No, I looked around. It took me a while to get there. That's a good idea. And I think that way that's a sawtooth. It's kind of tough. So
That's the technical word I'm grappling for.
there you go. No questions.
Commissioner Thomas?
I agree with your presentation and your reasoning, and I support it. That's all I have.
I also don't like the too many signs on a property, but to be quite frank with you, if you had asked for one also on your doorway, I would have would have voted for that also. The facade of your building, see where you even enter the suites. All right, since we have a request for a zoning code variance, we need a reading of the findings of fact, please.
777 Oakmont Lane, request for a variance to allow an increase in the number of allowable signs from 2 to 3. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The property contains 2 existing monument signs which are permitted by code, which advertise the name of this property and which advertise various existing tenants. Applicant cannot alert the public to its location without a variance allowing for this monument sign. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The existing multi-tenant monument sign does not contain sufficient space for applicant's use, and a new monument sign will most effectively alert the public to the applicant's location. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The total area of the existing and proposed monument signs is less than permitted by code. The proposed monument sign will be tastefully designed to fit the character of the area, and this additional monument sign will not alter the essential character of this office research district.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a variance request are hereby approved. Under Planning and Zoning Item 12036, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees a zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Anton, seconded by Commissioner Fidesco. A question on the motion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fidesco.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fleet.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Anton.
Yes.
And Chairman Richard.
Yes. Okay, you have our recommendation for approval, and then staff can tell you when you'll be for Thursday evening Committee of the Whole. Okay, thank you. Planning and Zoning Item 12037. Juan Hong of Yu's Mandarin Restaurant, and I apologize for mispronouncing this. Regarding the property located at 665 Pasquinelli Drive, Unit A, for the following. Zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs. B, zoning code variance request to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage. Again, sir, I apologize for mispronouncing the names.
No problem. Hi, my name is Sean Hong, the owner of Yu's Mandarin Restaurant. We just newly opened in August, located at 665 Pasquinelli Drive in the International Plaza. This is our original plan and the design to have this many signage, but somehow our contractor, they were not familiar with the law or the rules of Westmont. They thought, they could get approved at one time, but we didn't know the regulations here, so we only get one signage approved at a time, and which already been installed. So now we need to start all over again for the rest of the signage. Is from our original design and the plan. The reason we have more than one signage is on the restaurant building, there were 2 round circles on each side of the building. So there was just a perfect to have a logo or signage there, which there were existing signage there already. So we just need to replace with our logo on that. And also in that plaza and that restaurant is in a quiet neighborhood. There's office building behind, but during the night it's really not much traffic over. So, and it's hard to see from either Road 83 or from Ogden Avenue. So we just try to light up to make more people to notify there's a restaurant there. So we try to put a sign along facing the Pasquinelli Drive. That's the one sign facing that side. So other than that, it should be just like the existing signage just replaced by our logo.
All right, is anybody from the public who will speak on this issue? We'll close the public comment. Staff?
Again, staff would typically not support this number of wall signs, but the applicant has attempted to work with the front of the building, which was previously used for signage in a very similar manner.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with Commissioner Thomas, if you would.
So some of the increase in signs are already up. Is that what you're?
No, actually, there were existing signs. For example, like the two circles, there were the previous owner have their sign there. We just, we took that off, but they were kind of ugly look. There's bird's nest or stuff, so we just have our designer put a cardboard temporary things to cover those.
Okay, so you took them off.
Right, just cover with.
Didn't like what it looked like, so you put something back.
Right, that's just temporary.
And when you put it back is when you're putting it, and with a new owner, you're putting it back without permission, right? Staff, is that right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
all right. I don't, and since it's similar to what was already there before, I don't see any problem with the increase in sign.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anton?
Yeah, I was out there and it looks like it's unfinished. Those circles, there should be something in there. I mean, what is that? It looks horrible. So, I mean, I'm up for more signage and you need more, get your business going or keep it going, and I'm all for that. I'm not for big stuff, crazy stuff, but this is unfinished, so I think it needs to be put in there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Van Buren?
I agree with Commissioner Anton. You need it. You're kind of isolated there, and you need the signage.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Well, being that it's primarily a business district with some, restaurants and shopping there, I think that, and being that it's exactly where it's located, kind of on a corner there, it kind of needs more signage. I mean, I know that there are certain regulations, but I don't think it's tasteful. It's not overbearing, so I don't have a real issue with it. I mean, I just had one question for staff. When you measure that circular sign, do you measure the entire circle and include that as the sign, or just the letters?
You do. You measure the outer dimensions of it, which puts them at a little bit of an unfair advantage.
Yeah, because I looked at it and I thought that if you're just measuring the letters, if it was a blank wall and all you were doing was putting up letters, then you'd only be measuring the letters.
Exactly.
So I look at it from that standpoint, so I don't have a real big issue with that much of a variance, because if you just measured the letters, you would drop that by a substantial amount.
That's true. At that point, they would probably meet the square footage requirement.
So don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fleet?
Yeah, I wish you good luck here. I think signs will help people find your business.
Thank you very much. And we're new here in Westmont, and hopefully we can get support from every one of you. Hope to see you in our restaurant too, and to taste our food. It's really good. We're proud of our product, and our restaurant is one of the best Chinese food. Hopefully we can see you there for lunch. Thank you.
Okay, the only comment, sir, I have is the facade on the west side of your restaurant as it fronts Pasquinelli.
Yeah.
I think your trees are going to block your sign to a certain extent. Good luck to you with the sign there. That's the only comment I have, but I think you do need all the signage that you have.
I will cut the tree if I could. It's really black from either way. So you can only have this much, can see the sign. It's really difficult to see it. I understand. Thank you.
Okay, since we have a request for a zoning code variance, may we have a reading of the findings of fact, please?
Use Mandarin Restaurant at 665 Pasquinelli Drive, Unit A. Request for variances to allow an increase in the number of allowable signs and an increase in the maximum gross square footage of signage. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The prior restaurant at this location exceeded the number of allowable signs, and the applicant seeks consistency with this previous use. The property contains 2 wall facades where signage is proposed, as well as a multi-tenant ground sign. Signage on one wall is needed to cover up an unattractive facade. The applicant cannot effectively market its restaurant to English and Chinese-speaking customers and have needed visibility within this shopping center without these variances. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The proposed signs will provide needed visibility for this restaurant within the shopping center and will cover up an otherwise unattractive facade. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed signs represent a modest 18% increase in the total allowable sign area, will be tastefully designed, and will not alter the character of this commercial area.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a zoning code variance request are hereby adopted. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, Planning and Zoning, item 12037.
So moved.
Sorry. Zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fidesco, fast Steve, and seconded by Commissioner Van Buren.
What time did you say?
May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Anton?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes, and Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, under Planning and Zoning, item 12037, item B, I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, a zoning code variance request to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Van Buren, seconded by Commissioner Anton. Question on the motion. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Anton?
Yes.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. All right, sir, you have our recommendation for approval to the Board of Trustees, and staff can tell you when you'll appear before them on Thursday evening. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Planning and Zoning, item 12038, Corey Fain of China Cat Productions regarding the Marriott Hotel property located at 3500 Midwest Road, Oak Brook. Boy, that always galls me. That's Westmont. For the following. Item A, zoning code variance request to permit more than 3 antenna on a structure in the B3 Special Business District.
Hello, thank you for so far considering our request for a variance. China Cat Productions is working, my name is Corey Fain, and I'm working with China Cat Productions. We are working on building a wireless point-to-point network in the Chicago area, and we found that the Marriott location is a good spot for us to use. I feel like it's also a pretty well-hidden location. Even though it's a large building, it's in a pretty, there's a lot of trees in the area. And there's a lot of other dishes up there too, so we think our installation of our own would be rather innocuous. And with that, we're asking for the village to give us a variance to the zoning. Sure. We are building a point-to-point network, a wireless network in the Chicago area, and we found that the Marriott would be a good site for that. And we feel like it's a pretty well-hidden location. And there are already more than 3 dishes installed there, so we're asking for a variance to be able to add some more dishes there.
Do you wish to, please, miss, the home audience cannot hear you, so if you would come and sign up and give us your name. With the microphone there, the home audience can hear you.
Okay. First of all, thank you for sending a letter to residents in the area around the Oak Brook Hills Hotel Marriott now. I lived in Oak Brook for 20 years, 35th and Trinity Lane, just across the street from golf course. And I have a question. Letter says more than three antennas. How many more? What does more than three means?
There are currently 16.
Yes, 16.
There's currently 16 antennas installed there, and we are adding 2 more antennas.
So on a Marriott hotel, there are 16 antennas presently.
Right.
And how many more are being to be added?
We are asking for a variance to add 2 more dishes that are 2 feet in diameter each.
2 feet in diameter. They're not going to be those tall antennas like radio antennas.
Correct.
And they're going to be positioned where? On the building itself, on a Marriott building?
They will be on the roof of the building, set some feet back from the edge of the roof.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
Jill,
I
can
needed.
you-
Yeah.
We'll show you on a drawing here.
Okay, I came because I was concerned about, I did not know what kind of antennas, how tall are antennas. We don't know much about antennas really, but in 21st century, I guess we have to accept them.
These are the new dishes, and they're 24 inches.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I thought we are building some God knows how tall antennas in my neighborhood, and I would move.
No.
Okay.
No, I saw it.
These are
Excuse
24
me.
antennas.
I'm on the same subject. I'm neighbor of Branca. We have been living there across the border from Marriott to Trinity Lane.
Yes.
Just 35th in between. And my husband recently, a year ago, died of cancer.
Miss, would you step to the podium and speak by the microphone so they can hear you at home?
Yeah, my husband
Sign in.
died a year ago from cancer. So I'm concerned about my own health and my son's health, and because I've been living in that property, and we intend to live over there for another whatever years. I'm worried about the health hazards of this antenna because there's a radio station or something in Saddlebrook, and that interferes with the phone frequency and everything. At the moment, I do not have a landline because it's interrupting with the phone service. And we still don't even know the effects of the cell phone, in the coming years, what it's going to be. So I'm concerned about the cancer and other health hazards on children, and the frequency of these antennas interrupting the home. Because we are just next to that Marriott.
Yeah, specific to the installation that we're doing, these dishes operate in a very high frequency range of 70 gigahertz. They transmit at a lower power than a typical cell phone does, and the beam is very focused and narrow, unlike a cell tower or an AM tower where you might have communications that are radiating out in all directions. These have a very narrow beam. In fact, some of these links are pointing several miles away, and by the time the signal gets there, it's only 20 or 40 feet wide. And the rest of the signal beyond 5 or 6 miles is absorbed by the atmosphere.
Actually, how big is it? My son showed me a picture of it this evening.
2 feet.
It was pretty ugly, and it was pretty tall or something.
Maybe the dish that is up there already. There are some dishes up there. There are some that you can see there that are, like this one you can see on the roof.
You
and
have a contract with Marriott. Marriott is located in Westmont.
Mm-hmm.
So we are right on the boundary over there. Is there no other place you can go in the industrial area of Westmont, or is Marriott giving any kind of special concession or charging you to put these? Which company is it?
Miss, I believe that the reason they need to go onto the Marriott Hotel is they need the height to reach the other antennas that they're going to be communicating with. They need the height. All of our industrial buildings are at maximum 2 stories tall.
And one of the advantages of using an existing building like this is that somebody doesn't have to build a separate communication tower that is either in a neighborhood or another area that you can see from somewhere else. So this is a building that's already there, and you just put an antenna on the roof, and now you don't have another.
So that will be on the roof of this here.
This whole thing is the roof of the building. So
and
this.
You already have these 3. 16.
Corey?
Does anybody measure radio frequency of these antennas? I mean, there is a standard by how much is safe, what radio frequency is safe. Does anybody ever measure this? Nobody measures, I believe.
To the best of my knowledge, the Federal Communications Commission determines the strength of their signal and how it can be propagated.
Yeah, but adding up 16 plus several more, that increases frequency, and there is no measure of how much radio frequency is in the surrounding area, and I live few hundred feet away.
Actually, we get all the water from the golf course to our 2 properties, and we have been dealing with the flood and everything.
Well, not all 16 antenna are even pointing your way.
I don't know that.
Only part of those antennas.
I do not know that. So this is something that should be probably disclosed a little more to the public. And in 1960s, they used to radiate kids' necks because they thought that a low radiation is going to prevent frequent infections. Still, 20 years later, everybody started getting neck cancer. And there are some studies that show that cell phones can damage DNA and cause mutation and lead to cancer. By the time this theory is proven, maybe 50 years or never. But I have 4 children, and I really did not even know about 16 antennas in Marriott Hotel. And as I said, I live across the street. My house is first next to golf course.
Just the road in between.
So, we probably deserve a little bit more of data on this issue. How much radio frequency is already there? How far does it go? What's this? I mean, before you guys start putting more than 3, I mean, it's already 16 there. How many more are we going to put? And I know that Marriott benefits greatly financially from these antennas, and probably Westmont Village also, because they are paying tax. So that should be disclosed to public to see what our interest in all this, financial interest of the Marriott and Westmont while we are sitting under those antennas.
The village does not benefit financially from these antennas
Village
at all.
does because Marriott pays taxes, so.
Yeah, but Marriott doesn't pay tax on lease money. That would be income tax that they'd pay to the federal government. Marriott pays a portion of their property taxes to the village.
They should pay because it's income for them, and it's pretty significant. I know that. I know how much these antennas cost per month. It's not insignificant amount.
Well, the village doesn't collect tax on the lease revenue that the hotel.
You should. You would get a lot of money. Seriously. So what else do you have to tell us about safety issues on this?
I can tell you that these radios operate at 72 gigahertz. They are more than 100 feet off of the ground, and as the radio beam, so this is the north of the building, as the radio beam heads out in this eastern direction.
Corey, could you please move that onto the
sure.
projector so everyone can see it? Thank you.
You see that? So for example, here, this dish that would be pointing out to the east, by the time it leaves the Marriott property, you have a signal that's probably about this wide. This is not a cell antenna that's trying to radiate to cover an entire area. It's trying to point at a very specific location that's 4 or 5 miles away. So the beam has to be very narrow and very focused. So it's up in the air 120 feet, pointing directly to a specific location and not pointing out to, this is very specific to our installation. Other cell phone frequencies that are up there could be totally different, but the frequencies that we're doing operate completely independently of themselves. They don't add to or interfere with or otherwise affect the other cellular, or maybe there's some public services up there. I think the fire department is going to be installing a communication system up here as well. So we're independent of all those frequencies. It's not like it adds to it. It's just our frequency starts to exist there, and it points to somewhere far away very specifically. It is not pointing down. It would not.
Mr. Fine?
Yes.
If I may, are you certified, excuse me, with your transmitting equipment with the FCC?
Yes.
You are?
I personally am not. Our equipment is
I understand. Your
FCC
equipment are.
licensed, FCC certified equipment.
The only item that is in front of us with which we are to vote on tonight is not whether or not this equipment can cause any cancer or any disruption to any electronic equipment. That is the purview of the Federal Communications Commission. The only thing that this board is going to decide tonight is whether or not to authorize 2 more antenna to be on top of the hotel, not whether the beam is going to bother anybody. That is the purview of the Federal Communications Commission, not this board.
You can go to them.
You know
Yeah, I
what?
would suggest that you
The only thing we're going,
By the time we get to that board, antennas are gonna be installed, and as you know, things don't work always that easy on kinds of boards like this.
this board has,
So better to prevent something than go and cure it later, so, I mean,
Ma'am?
I just have questions, and I would like to know answers. I'm not saying I'm not against or I'm for, I just want to know the facts. What are they putting up there, and already 16 are there that I didn't know about?
Yeah.
You know?
they are putting 2 more antenna
I
on a
know
building that already has 16 antenna.
I heard, and that doesn't make me happy. 16,
Well,
2 I would take, but 16
I'm
plus.
sorry if we don't make you happy, but the only thing that this board is going to vote on tonight is whether or not 2 more antenna are to be put upon that hotel.
So
Not
our
what those-
concerns don't matter
No,
in any
please,
way.
let me finish. Not what those antennas do. Those antennas could transmit television pictures. They could make radio calls. Not our concern. That concern is for the Federal Communications Commission. They are seeking permission from this board to put 2 more antenna upon that building. And our criteria are, and we have supporting document in front of us, that the building will support it. The electrical service will support 2 more antenna. That is the only criteria we are going to discuss and consider tonight.
And the aesthetics. You'd consider the aesthetics.
And the aesthetics, well, that goes
So
without saying.
aesthetics
You can consider
goes
the
before
impact on
safety.
Well,
Aesthetics goes before safety, that's what you're telling us.
No, we can't, FCC makes,
and I think what he's saying is safety is something this commission can consider, but there simply aren't facts that the FCC, when it comes to safety and antennas and towers, that is the purview of the FCC commission. So this commission can't make a judgment as to the safety of the antennas. The FCC has deemed them safe.
I would still, if it was me, I'd go ask and say, look how many are up there, and start your process of
So
finding out.
how many more do you think are gonna, that roof of Marriott is really big.
I don't own
So
Marriott.
whoever shows up and asks to put 5 more antennas, they're
If
gonna
it was
go.
my building, I wouldn't put any on, but that's me.
I agree with you. That's why I came, left kids and came here to hear what's going on, but I'm glad I did, because I didn't know there are 16 there already.
But his seems better than other ones I've seen up there, because if he's shooting a beam to another spot, he's not radiating around, shooting out around us to get his position or radiate it there. So I would be more amped to put his through, but someone's gonna put a broadcasting antenna there, that would make me a little nervous.
Just as a clarification, I'm responsible for a typo, and there's actually 18 on there now, and they're requesting 2 more for 20.
You've helped out a lot.
Sorry.
No, seriously, is there any board anywhere that may put limit on how many per square foot of these things someone is gonna put there? Because we know why Marriott is approving. They need revenues. In this kind of economy, I know they're not doing too good. So putting 16, 18, 20, 100, how many are they gonna put? Is there any board that may decide per square footage? Because you decide on driveway, on this and that. How about antennas on a property? Is there a policy that says that?
Do we have anything?
Well, I was going to say structural calculations.
Yeah, the policy says no more than 3, and that's already been
And what per
exceeded.
square foot?
No. The only policy, if you're asking for that, is that we rely on a structural engineer to certify that the roof can handle the weight.
You know why? We are not putting lollipops on that roof. We are putting antenna that emit radio frequency. And there are studies that are coming out now that say that those radio frequencies could be damaging. So there should be a body that's going to regulate how many per square foot of space, per whatever square footage it is, can be placed. So we are talking now already 18 plus 2, 20. How many more? We should know that. We decide how pure our water is,
Aaron Brockovich, let's do it. I say start it, if I figure it out. I don't know. I'd be interested to find out.
You know, that would be something to consider really, because, you know, if you are going to protect public, you know, in some ways, let's decide what's appropriate amount of certain kind of radio frequencies that sit on top of the building, and they all add up.
Well,
That radio frequency adds up. Does it go in this direction or that direction? It matters to a certain point, but if you have 50 of them in 5 years from now, oh, most of them are going to be pointing in 4 directions that adds up. So, you know.
I will say this, when you drive around and you see the tall towers, you'll see that multiple carriers have their antennas up, and there are upwards
I know,
of
but
20
you know what?
and
Right there.
20
20 years from now?
antennas. But again, that's not what this commission's here
I
to decide.
understand.
That's
I'm
the
just
FCC.
asking, is
We're not
there
trained
a-
in that.
a regulation?
I'm very scared because my husband passed away a year ago with cancer. He was a perfectly healthy man. We didn't even know there were 18 of those.
Well, we don't know
The
that,
roof
but
of dead.
It would be better, ma'am, I suggest to you, this gentleman will go before a committee of the whole, the Board of Trustees. They make the laws in this village.
okay.
This question, you would do better to raise this question to the Board of Trustees, which usually is on a Thursday evening. Staff could take your name and number, and she could tell you when this gentleman and his company are going to go before the Board of Trustees, and then you could appear there.
I have nothing, I mean, I want him to have a business. I want him to put antennas. I want him to have
Yes,
business.
I
I'm not
understand.
here against him in any way. I just have general question about rules and regulations and this kind of, this is new to all of us.
We cannot answer your
understand.
question.
It's a
It's
good
not-
We're not experts in the
I don't either,
areas
am
that you
I.
want to know about. You're in the wrong place if you want. Do you think we know how many megahertz, how many anything?
But
This
you
is
know, we
not
should
our
know.
purview.
Someone should know because we are
Okay.
making decisions here. And if we don't know, someone does know. We
I can
should ask
tell, I
them.
can tell you that the Federal Communications regulates this. You can only, okay, I'm going to try to do this simply. Radio waves do add up, but they start to interfere because of the harmonics. You're going to be limited by physics about the number of antennas that can be placed on any structure or any one point in space. Everything interacts. There is a limit, and it's all relating to the way the radios transmit, at the frequencies transmits, at the harmonics of the frequencies. There will become noise eventually. You can't put, there is a limit to what can be put up there. I don't know what that limit is. You know, you'd have to know what antennas are there, what frequencies are they transmitting, at what power, and in what direction. I mean, the FCC is what controls all of these type of radio installations. I mean, these are licensed. I'm assuming this is a licensed path because I put these in myself, so I know a little bit about this. I'm just saying that it is something that is regulated by the federal government.
You have a good question.
And the chairman has made a point that we do not make the decisions. We're only making the decision about whether the antenna can be placed there.
And I'm a radiation technology.
Okay, we're getting,
We've lost control.
we are getting redundant with the questions. We've answered the many questions. We've gone as far as we could. We're going to close the public comment. Staff, do you have anything?
Sorry to hear about your husband.
Yes, just a general comment that staff recommends co-location of towers or equipment on towers so that we don't get additional towers within the village. And the applicant has provided structural calculations noting that the new equipment will be adequately supported, which is the purview of this commission.
Okay. Let's start with Commissioner Fleet, if you would.
No questions from all the discussion.
Commissioner Fidesco.
I'm fully aware of what you're trying to do, and we've approved numerous additions to the cellular antennas that are up there, being that it is point-to-point, and they're small antennas. I don't have an issue. I know there's not going to be a weight issue.
Commissioner Van Buren.
As long as it'll support the additional structure, I have no comment.
Commissioner Anton.
I like that lady's concern. I think that's good, but it's not in front of this board. We can't adjust to that. And he's got a narrow beam. It's better than a broadcast beam. I'm for it.
Commissioner Thomas.
What kind of equipment are you supporting? with the antenna?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
It's not cell phone. What?
It's like the internet connection you have running to your house. It's a data connection.
Okay.
It just happens to, instead of a fiber or copper, it transmits over the air. So it's transmitting 1 gigabit over the air.
Not mind control or anything like that.
Again, you're in the wrong place. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
I have no questions. Okay, since we have a request for a zoning code variance, may we have a reading of the findings of fact, please?
You're just dogging you tonight.
I know. 3500 Midwest Road, request for a variance to allow more than 3 antennas on a structure. Criteria number 1, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in the district in which it is located. The property currently contains approximately 18 antennas on its roof, where 3 are allowed by code. Co-location of telecommunications facilities are preferred in order to reduce the impact on surrounding properties. Allowing this variance will potentially eliminate the need for a standalone antenna tower, and granting this variance will allow the applicant to yield a reasonable return on this property. Criteria number 2, the plight of the owner is due to unique circumstances. The expansion of telecommunications antennas at this location will benefit the public through improved and expanded service and will lessen the impact on adjacent properties due to this co-location of antenna facilities. Criteria number 3, the variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. The proposed antennas and equipment will generally be shielded from public view due to their location away from the roof line. The antennas equipment will be co-located with the existing antennas facilities, and allowing this equipment will not alter the essential character of the area.
If you agree with these findings, please raise your hand. We are unanimous in agreement. The findings of fact for a variance request are hereby approved. I would entertain a motion to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees, Planning and Zoning Item 12038, zoning code variance request to permit more than 3 antenna on a structure in the B3 Special Business District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Anton. Question on the motion. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Fidesco?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Buren votes yes. Commissioner Fleet?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Anton?
Yes.
And Chairman Richard?
Yes. Okay, sir, you can tell us when you will go before the committee of a whole on a
He's not gonna
Thursday
tell.
evening. Staff can tell you,
Okay.
and you'll be able to
Can I
meet
tell you tomorrow?
be able to meet your ladies again.
Name your, sir, the name of your company.
China Cat Productions.
Yeah, why?
The person who formed it is a Grateful Dead fan.
You were right. Thank you.
Okay, staff?
No other comments?
Staff has nothing. Any commissioners? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Anton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.